Yeah, absolutely excited to have Riley Pearce on the podcast today, man. How have things been going for you?
Really good. Yeah, life's been busy, but yeah, since I put that album out, yeah, things have been really good.
Yeah, so you've recently come off a little bit of a tour. Is that correct? How was that for you?
Great. Yeah, I did a run of shows around Australia. It's a big place to tour for very spread out cities, but it's great.
Mm.
Yeah, I love touring, and I think it had been maybe like 18 months since my last like Australia tour, and just being on the road and being able to play songs and seeing how the music connects with people. And I changed up my live set a bit too to kind of incorporate like a few more like effects or just moments in the set.
Mhm.
That was really fun to get to test that out.
Yeah. So in terms of like touring versus Australia versus like maybe like Europe, I think as maybe as Americans we kind of get lost on the size of Australia and like just kind of how spread out things are. Like, is touring kind of Australia similar to touring Europe, and I guess what are the differences?
Yeah, well, I live in Perth, which is on the west coast of Australia, which is
Mhm.
like I think it's technically the most isolated like city in the world, or
Yeah.
capital city. And so even for me to get to Melbourne is like a 3.5 hour flight. Um, and so like if I'm playing shows in Perth or doing an Australian tour, it's like Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. All of that is like a flight between. You could
Yeah.
probably drive to Melbourne and Sydney, but it's like it's not fun and there's not much in between. Like
Mhm.
it's brutal. Whereas like in Europe, you can tour and you can be in another whole city in an hour or two, and
Right.
it's or another whole country in an hour and two. Like it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. So it's way friendlier, as well as like you could do it all by car too or train. Like there's just way more of that population density, and
Yeah.
it is yeah friendlier.
Yeah. Do you find like does your music more well received, I guess, in Australia as opposed to maybe Europe? Do you get a nice like home country welcome, or is it do you find the crowds are a little better maybe outside of it?
Yeah, weirdly, like I think when I started out, it was like because I've got a lot of family in Melbourne. I was born over there, so whenever I go back, there's a lot of family and friends that will come to those shows. But strangely enough, like it's Europe where in the UK where my main audiences are now, and
Mm.
if I play shows there, maybe it's my music suits the gloomy, rainy weather more than it does
Yeah,
Australia's
maybe.
sunshine. So, and people have more time to listen and are more like I don't know, introspectively looking outside windows while and reflecting on life than they are maybe just
Yeah.
out enjoying it in Australia. So maybe there's a bit of that. But yeah, I love playing in both parts. But there is definitely a difference.
Yeah. So I guess kind of rewinding, kind of way back here, growing up, right? So you're born in Melbourne. What were your parents listening to when you were a kid? And then like what kind of music did we all kind of find our own ears, so to speak. What'd you gravitate towards once you kind of found your music on your own?
Yeah, growing up, Dad played guitar, and we'd always have like James Taylor or Eric Clapton or Jim Croce, those sort of kind of artists playing around the house. And then Mum loved like Nora Jones as well, or Eva Cassidy, and so a lot of that I remember those artists being played. And then I had terrible taste in music growing up. Like the first CD I think I asked for was like Shaggy's Greatest Hits or something like that. So it
Perfect.
was
Amazing.
horrendous. But then I started like playing acoustic guitar and busking, and then I started like leaning towards artists that did that themselves. So
Mm.
like I loved Jack Johnson. I loved who else? Like Pete Murray, who's like an Australian artist, and yeah, I tended to gravitate to the ones that would play acoustic guitar. So, and then like
Sure.
listening to James Taylor as well, and um,
Yeah.
diving back into it all, like realizing that Dad had some music taste, and it wasn't
Mhm.
just because I was into Shaggy at the time.
Right.
But
I
yeah,
think I think we all have a story of a CD that we're less than proud of. You know, I had a I always tell people I had Chumbawamba, Tub Thumping on CD, you know, just this
Yeah,
big lime green CD, you know, certainly not proud of it later on down the road, but I think we all have to go through those
yeah,
stages of our lives for sure. Uh,
yeah.
so you know, you're fresh off of an album release last year, and you know how have things been going in terms of, you know, just the whole release itself and kind of the reception to it, and you know, our uh I guess, you know, kind of looking back on it, you know, how does it all feel?
Good. I feel like this is an album that it had been in the works in some form or another, like the concept of it, um, for ages. Like I wanted to write an album about like my experience in the music industry and the highs and lows of chasing a dream. And so some of these songs are like I started writing like 5 or 6 years ago, and they maybe made the shortlist for other albums until
Yeah.
I knew what that album was going to be about, and those songs didn't fit. And then they kind of just got pushed towards, and then I had enough songs around this concept for this album. So it's been great. I feel like the songs from the feedback that I've heard from, I mean, I've more so than any of the other albums, I felt like I've had great reception from other musicians or other creatives who have resonated with the message,
Yeah.
which has been great. Like it's not that's the reason to do it, but it's a nice
Sure.
bonus to get feedback from your peers of like, hey, this is also what I'm feeling. So it was
Yeah.
great.
After, you know, after I listened through, I think my favorite song off of it is one called Left Side View. Would just love to hear kind of the story on that one.
Yeah, that song is one of the ones that I think I wrote that song in like 2019 or 2020, and it was just about like wanting to like savor those moments when you're with someone right before you're about to go on tour, because you can't bring them with you for whatever reasons. They've got a job or a life of their own.
Yeah.
And so just wanting to like, be, but also at the same time, it was like we were like living in a small apartment, like we didn't have much. So it was like making your love feel like it mattered or feel special given what you have.
Yeah. Yeah. A little bit of, you know, romanticizing the things you do have and
Yeah.
putting it in your pocket and taking it with you. Yeah. I appreciate that sentiment a lot. Yeah. I find myself, I'm a big romanticizer of life and things to music. So, that makes sense for sure. Um, so you recently you put out a single that was a cover of a Gregory Alan Isakov song, Amsterdam. I would just love to hear kind of, you know, the I guess the why and the, you know, your take on it and what that song just means to you.
Yeah. Well, I probably should have put his music in my, like what I listened to. But yeah, that song was my wife and I's wedding song. We always loved it. Like it felt like it captured so much of I don't know, young love, and I got to see him play in when he came to Perth maybe a month ago, and it was incredible just seeing that song live. He played mostly solo, so it was nice to see. Like I've seen him play with a band before, and that's a great thing too. But yeah, I love that song. I love his music, and I really just wanted to reinterpret it in my own sort of way, give it its own sort of feel, and yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out, and it's it's one that it's an incredible song of his, and I'm pretty proud of how my kind of version
Yeah,
went.
it's a yeah, beautiful cover of it, honestly. Yeah, it's probably, geez, I don't even, it's funny ranking songs of artists, but it's definitely one of my favorites of his as well. For, you know, many reasons. So like when you're approaching songwriting in general, is it you know, is it a solo process for you, or are you collaborating at times, or you know, pulling from personal experience?
Yeah, I do a lot for my own stuff. Most of the time, it's I'm writing myself. There's this one Canadian artist called Sam Lynch that I have written a few songs with. She's kind of had a song that we've written together on each album so far, and that's mostly been like the only kind of color. But I've been doing a lot of writing for other artists for their projects lately. So I'm working with like a Australian, more like EDM producer at the moment, and working on his album. And but yeah, it's I do really enjoy writing with people as much as I don't get as much time as I would love to like be in the same place with people. So I do a bunch of like Zoom writing sessions, and those are great if you've like met the person before. Can be a bit awkward if you haven't, to try and like get that like relationship kind of going. But it's I love just hearing how other people approach songwriting, and they come up with ideas that you would have never, like your natural instincts just don't lean towards. So it's really enlightening to just see how everyone else's mind works, and if you're writing for them, to like help uncover what it is they're trying to say and just offer up suggestions. And it's their song, so they can take it or leave it. And it's just about getting to the point where you're happy with a song that like you feel connected to, and that works the same for when people are writing with me. And it's I love that collaborative nature of it.
So I am curious, like when you're working with somebody else, is it something where they, kind of approach you on it? Forgive my ignorance to the whole process, or is this like for lack of a better description, like you're on like a whole list of a website, and they're like kind of looking through and picking somebody? What does that whole process look like? And just kind of curious on it.
Yeah, it would be handy if there was like just a catalog where it's like you could just pick and choose and this guy come write my song. Sometimes I'll reach out, like and you just ask if they're open to having someone else help write a song for them. And sometimes they are. Sometimes people are super protective of their art, and maybe they haven't co-written before too, so that's completely fine. Like I don't try and force to write someone with it, because they're not going to end up wanting to or using it. So, there's a bit of that. Sometimes, like my publisher will reach out and say, "Hey, if anyone's wanting to write, we have this artist that is looking to write with people." So there's a bit of that. But yes, a lot of it's just like me sending them a message and being like, "Hey, do you want to try and write a song?"
Mm-hmm. So I guess is it fun for you to kind of step out of, your music kind of falls in this, one or two kind of lanes? Is it fun to step out of that? And like you said, you mentioned you were working with somebody in like the electronic space. Is it, a good change of pace to hit that different style of music, or are you still like offering your perspectives from your lane?
Yeah, I think it's hard to like not. I feel like I've been in my lane for so long that a lot of that is just like ingrained in who I am. So I feel like that just comes across naturally anyway. It's really fun writing towards stuff that's more energy focused rather than story focused. So it's just about like, how do we like best convey this energy and message, rather than really like the intricacies of the story that, especially if it's stuff that I'm not writing for myself. Like when I'm writing for myself, I'm like analyzing every layer and step along the way, and that can be exhausting. Whereas if I'm writing for someone else, then I'm just trying to match the energy, offering it up to them, helping them decide their story or whatever it is that they're wanting to convey. So it's a bit of a change of pace, but it's refreshing too, because there's a lot of songs that I listen to, and my main draw into it is the energy rather than the song. So it's it's a different approach, but it's nice.
So you've been releasing music now for almost close to a decade, over a decade, right around a decade. How has your approach to just kind of writing a song, producing a song changed over that decade?
Yeah, well, when I started, I would probably write one song and then I'd be so obsessed with it, and then I would just want to record it and release it like straight away. Whereas now I think I have a bit more patience to like work towards the album and write a whole heap of songs, like 20 or 30 songs, to then have the 10 or 12 track album.
Right.
I didn't have that patience, and I also probably fixated too much on trying to make the song perfect in my mind at the time, rather than trying to finish it and then come back and like reviewing it later. And then I think that led to a lot of like half finished or just shelved songs that never saw the light of day. Whereas I'm a lot more aware that part of the process of writing is getting through those songs and just finishing something first to then kind of review later. But yeah, I'd like I still work with the same producer and engineer who lives in Perth. It's like he's great. He understands me, and I'm not the most like musically theory gifted. Or that was the grammatical nightmare of a sentence, but you know what I mean. I'm probably not Englishly gifted either, but
I'm either, trust me.
Yeah, but he understands what I'm trying to say when I describe things, and sometimes it's more in like I don't know, more like picture, like trying to describe a scene or something like that, and he can understand what I'm talking about to get that message across.
You mentioned like shelved songs and these kind of like unfinished projects. I feel like every time I talk to an artist, it's kind of that. For you specifically, I guess, what would cause you to shelf a song or just kind of put a project down for a second, or ultimately never have it see the light of day? Is it a feeling thing? Is it it doesn't feel right for the album? Is it you just don't like how it turned out? What is what are the main driving pieces behind all that?
I don't know. I think it's a bit of all of the things you mentioned. I think as well, like not everything that like if you're learning to draw, like not every time you put the pen to the paper are you going to create something amazing. A lot of it is just practice so that you can get to the point where you are creating something amazing or that you're really happy with. So I see it as that. I also think like sometimes it's like there's this book called Big Magic and by Elizabeth Gilbert, and it talks about how ideas are these things that like their whole purpose in life is to like get realized and turned into something, and that an idea like floats around and like will visit you. And if you can't give it the attention or time to turn into something, then it'll go off and visit someone else. And so sometimes I feel, and like I think that is a really nice romantic like sentiment to explain like how songs come to people. But it could be anything. It could be poetry. It could be making a vase. It could be doing something like that, or vase. I'm not sure how you'd say it, that word, but so it could be anything. And if you don't give it that time, it'll go off and find someone else on its ever-going quest to be turned into something or realized. And I think there's a lot of times where I just haven't had the time or attention to give to a song, and then you come back to it in a few months later and the same passion isn't there, or you just feel stuck. And I think that's a big part of it.
It's an interesting notion, right? Like it's almost like the energy is there, whether it's received or it still persists kind of in the world. It's a matter of if you're willing to kind of see it, receive it, be a part of it, or kind of leave it go. I like that thought, actually. It's a cool way of looking at it, and definitely a very romantic way of looking at it. In terms of artists nowadays, wear like 40 different hats on top of being an artist, right? I guess in terms of the social side of life, right? The social media side, the being a quote unquote content creator to be an artist. What's your relationship with that? How have you found a way that's like feels like genuine and natural to you?
Oh man, this is like this question, and it consumes a lot of like my life of trying to like figure out the balance of it, because like I don't post often, I feel like I don't have a huge social media presence, partly because I really struggle with it. Like I would love to just not have to be there, but there does feel like a lot of pressure to like remain relevant, to be, I don't know, creating ideas to get people on board with your song, way more than there used to be, or there was when I was starting out. And I look at artists like I don't know, say Gregory, for example, where they're at the level where they can just release a song or announce a tour, and there's no none of that like pushing for virality kind of thing. Which it just feels like every artist coming up is trying to do now. And there's some that do it in a really great way where it doesn't come across like that's what they're trying to do. It's just them being who they are. So I really try to like, music has to be at the forefront, like or what it is you do, like the songwriting or the performance. I think all of it has to be very like authentic to who you are. And for my own like sake, I don't like the fact that it pulls me away from the other things in life that I enjoyed doing, or like the moments with my family or the moments where I'm on tour. Like I want to be like enjoying those moments and not thinking about, I should capture this to put online. So I really struggle with that. So I try to like batch create a lot of things. So there's like a mate of mine who tours with me, and he is a videographer, and we'll like, if I've got an album coming out and I need to get heaps of things for different songs, we'll usually like, because my house isn't like the most aesthetically like pleasing place, plus if I used it every time, everything would look the same. So we like usually like hire out like an Airbnb for like a night or two, and then that's like looks pretty cool, and then we'll just like record like 100 different like short clips in a day, and then I'm like, awesome, I don't have to think about doing like it's kind of just gives you like a foundation of content to do. So like I highly recommend it. It definitely like makes it way easier to have a folder of stuff ready to go if you need, rather than having to like come up with things on the spot. The stress of having to record and like edit and do it all in like a couple hours span is definitely unneeded pressure. Batching is like the way to go for sure. You mentioned about finding something true to you. I am curious, so I don't know how much you're involved in this specifically, but your Spotify bio says half man, half almond croissant. Just curious, are you a big almond croissant fan? Is that where this comes from, and do you even know that this exists? I did put that there. I was like, I think the bio part like the bio I had sounded a bit too like, I don't know, like people are on Spotify, like it's sometimes bios are more industry things than they are, and it just needs to be a personality thing. So I was like, I love almond croissants. Whenever I'm on tour, I will try and hunt down where the best one is. There's like, I'll love in summer like going down to the beach, either go for a run or play basketball, and then go for a swim, then go to the cafe and have an almond croissant and a coffee. And it's just such a great ritual in my mind.
What's I'm a big chocolate croissant guy. What's the best, like where's the best almond croissant that you've had? A quick pull of your memory.
Yeah, so there was one in Melbourne, in Richmond, that was really good. It was like this hole in the wall bakery. Then there's one Wild Bakery in Fremantle, is incredible. And then there was one in I think it was like Wimbledon area in the UK that I had one, and they're the top three that stay in my mind. Those three spots.
I had I think the one, I don't even remember the name of it, but it was in Iceland, and it had a chocolate croissant at like a bakery that felt like it was a hole in the wall, and it was like, I don't want to say changed my life. That's high praise for a pastry, but it was amazing. I think about it a lot.
Pastries can change lives.
You don't get that kind of stuff here in the States.
Backline is a nonprofit organization that connects music industry professionals and their families with mental health and wellness resources. They work toward building a safer and more supported music industry by connecting this community with quality mental health care resources that truly understand this line of work. Backline operates a 24/7 crisis support hotline, helps music industry pros access wellness resources, and builds communities and support groups where industry professionals share real talk about wellness, mental health, touring, and more. For more information on Backline, visit them on the web at backline.care. That's Backline music.care.
Night people hanging out, looking at each other.
So, kind of changing gears here a little bit into like maybe more fun questions. But this is probably my favorite question to ask is if you were teaching a music class, you had 4 or 5 albums that were required listening of your students kind of based on your tastes, what would they be?
Okay. Yep. This immediately made me think of like School of Rock vibes, but I Leif Vollebeck's Twin Solitude album, I think would be up there. I think you can't go past like Fleetwood Mac, Rumours.
Sure.
Trying to think what else. My favorite album of like the past maybe like 2 years, is one by a guy called Ken Yates, called Total Cinema, and that's just incredible songwriting. Yeah, they would be my go-tos. Yeah, Flight, a band called Flight. Like I love their stuff, and it's also influenced largely by like the Beatles songwriting and Bob Dylan, and like, so I feel like those influences are in there. I think it's easy to go for the like absolute classic
Sure.
artists as the like these, like you can't tell music history without these artists, but for my own like personal taste of the albums that meant a lot to me, I think those ones, Lord Huron's I think it's the Lonesome Dreams album. That's yeah, they're probably the ones that come to mind.
Okay. No, Shaggy's Greatest Hits is not making the cut.
No,
Unfortunate. Everybody Loves Wasn't Me. So, I guess in terms of your discography, right? What's it doesn't have to be the most popular song, but what song are you most proud of?
Yeah, I also have a habit of like falling in love with my most recent songs. So, but I don't know. Like I'm weirdly proud of all of them, and they all kind of like circle round. Like I'll have a favorite at one point, or they'll be like, if I'm on tour, then I'll be like, oh, I really enjoy playing this one live. Or sometimes whatever I'm going on, like is happening in my life, like the song might reconnect with me in a new way compared to what I wrote it about at the start. But I have a song called Time's Eyes, which is kind of written as like a letter to myself about like that things will work out in time, I suppose, and through all of life's ups and downs, or the ups and downs of being a musician, and that one always feels like a really like I'm really proud of that song and the message in there. But yeah, I'm proud of a lot of my songs.
Yeah,
there's probably a few that I'm like, oh, maybe I rushed that, but no.
No, you're good. And then I live my life in music curation, so I always love asking too, like, what's a song or a project that you've really been into recently?
Yeah, well, I'm also like, I loved as a kid like making like doing my little bits of music curation and making friends like mix CDs and things like that. But just looking in my like Spotify like current faves, like I'm really excited for like Noah Kahan's new album. Like I thought The Great Divide was like ridiculously good. Then Joshua Sloan's album is like phenomenal, and something about like, I don't know, something about the way he sings and he writes is just so like heart-wrenching. I've really like enjoyed like diving into his music. Like, I mean, he only has one album out, but it's like, it's phenomenal. So, and it feels like everyone is kind of catching on to his music too, which is great.
Yeah, definitely on the Josh Sloan train. And then I guess, just kind of wrapping up, man, like what, you're coming off a tour. What can fans look forward to? What do you got coming up next? And what's on the horizon here?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of like writing I'm doing. I'm working on like a kind of a new project, which is still early days, but like with a mate of mine, we've been writing like a lot of different music in different worlds. So we're still kind of, I don't know, there's just going to be a lot of music made and a lot of writing. I don't know if I'll be touring as much this year, but partly because I've got a baby due as well, so in the middle of the year. So
congratulations,
thanks. But we'll yeah, I think next year will be a big year of touring and music releasing.
Amazing. Well, man, I appreciate you taking time out of the early morning there, and
No, it's all
yeah,
good.
can't wait to see what's next for you. Appreciate the conversation.
No, thank you. It's been great chatting.